Tempo di Minuetto by Fritz Kreisler measures 30 through 43. This takes us to the end of the first big section, or the top cookie of the Oreo cookie. All right, so that finishes this section. We're going to start fortissimo, so it's going to be slightly louder than the beginning. So when you do start at the beginning, save a little bit. It should be fairly strong, but with the anticipation that this last part is going to be fortissimo. So once again, we're going to start in third position. I explained how to listen for the ringtone. We've got that fast ta-ka-ta bowing that I explained in the previous video. The first new challenge is in measure 34, and we have a double string crossing here. If the arm doesn't drop to the E string, a lot of times you'll hear a crunch or a whistle. So you want to make sure that that weight is dropped and delivered to the E string. Drop. So I like to practice this several times, concentrating on the entire arm dropping. You want to avoid just going with the hand. That's you won't get the tone that you want. So drop. Good. Moving along. I sing through there. In the first part I put a mezzo piano. I came down in dynamic at that point in the phrase in measure 8. But here I want to sing through this and make this a really big gesture. Very singing here. Very, very lyrical in those staccatos at the end of the note. Think of staccato as just separation between the notes rather than short. A lot of people think of staccato as just a short sound. This should have plenty of singing, beautiful tone, but just with space between that note and the next note. All right, and then in measure 39 we begin a crescendo, and I showed you how to plan that with the bow. Just review it. So just very free arm. And you'll just use more and more bow as the crescendo continues. Now we're using the Barbara Barber edition, and in measures 39 and 41 I changed the fingering to something that I think is easier for me. And I'll demonstrate it in slow motion, then I'll explain the logic behind this. So starting in measure 39. Shift, 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 shift. So I like this fingering for several reasons. Number one is we're always shifting on the same finger and also in the same place in the sequence. So if you look at the last 4 16th notes in measure 39, I'm shifting on the third one. Then I'm shifting on the third 16th note again, and then the third 16th note again. The other reason I like it is because once you're shifted to the new position, the following notes are in the same finger pattern. So shift, whole step, shift, whole step, shift, whole step. And now the next one's a half step, but we're going to shift. The pattern and the rhythm changes anyway. So we'll shift on that half step. Full bows. And then we end on a third finger, so we can have an expressive vibrato without having to force it. When you're shifting, the whole step pattern continues. That's very useful because my fingers sort of remember what happened in the previous position, and they want to go to the same places. So I can take advantage of that with a fingering like this. If the finger shape changes, that's an additional complication that I need to practice and work on. But this fingering simplifies it for me. So you can try this fingering if you like, or use the fingering that Barbara Barber presents in her edition, or another fingering. Now moving along, at the end of measure 41, we want to get to the frog by the end of this measure. So there are differing opinions on how to play chords. I'll show you the way I do it. So we're at the frog. This is the real frog right like there. So this finger is on the other side of the string than the pinky. All right, so I put my left hand in position, and then I keep the arm low, nice and low at the level of the E string, and then I just drop the tip. So at the beginning of the chord, my first finger is completely disengaged, and all the weight of the bow is supported on the pinky side. So let me show you that again. So I have, go to the frog, place the finger, drop the tip, and the pointer is just I'm showing you how disengaged it is, but it will be just resting or sleeping on the stick. And then you get a nice chord. The bow just corrects itself. And then keep the arm nice and low. Still keep the arm as low as you can to avoid whistling on that E. A lot of times that E during those grace notes is whistled. So if I keep my arm low, I can keep it from whistling. So that's how I like to practice measures 30 through 43 at the end of the first big section of Fritz Kreisler's Tempo di Minuetto.